spectrum of flavors. And this does what everything a gin should do, because it is 179 years old. They've been making this stuff. You do anything for 179 years, you get pretty damn good at it. Don't take our word for it, it is the most awarded gin in history. At different spirit competitions around the world, it has won more gold medals than any other gin on the planet. It's unique, it's only actually got 4 botanicals. It's got juniper, and every year, because we make a lot of gin, we make Tanqueray, Gordon's, Gilbey's and Booth's, we own all of those. We buy a lot of juniper, and every year we get sent about 2,000 samples of juniper over the course of the year. Every single sample we get, we do a small distillation of it. There are 8 people in the distillery who have to nose it, and 6 of them at least have to say, this is good juniper. Last month they tested 135 junipers and they bought none of them. 95% of the juniper we get sent, we reject. Over here, you know, Colorado, for example, there are 6 gins that only use Colorado juniper. If they have a bad harvest, they're a bit screwed on the whole. Whereas we constantly search around the world to get the best ingredients for it. It's got Angelica. And juniper gives it that slightly piney, slightly minty quality that gin has. Angelica gives it that floral quality, the lovely sort of flowery kind of flavour. Actually, if you taste it, you almost get a little bit of chocolate in there. It's got coriander. Coriander seed gives it a peppery quality. It's got a nice edge and a good texture on the mouth. It also gives a slight lemon flavour. Because most gins use lemon peels or orange peels. Tanqueray doesn't. It uses really good quality ingredients together. And the mix of them, the exact quality, the perfection of the selection means you get these extra flavours that aren't even in the gin itself. Last thing we've got is licorice powder, which gives it, of course, that lovely sort of anise kind of angle that means it works with so many different flavours. So Tanqueray London, in a bottle, shaped like a cocktail shaker. It's the first bottle of major gin to go in a green glass bottle, which there aren't very many out there now. So as I say, it is an awesome product, and it does everything a gin should do. You know how bartenders sit around and discuss everything from, you know, which customer they would sleep with, which staff member they would sleep with, or their fantasy speed rail in their bar, or if you were stuck on a desert island, what scotch would you take, what gin would you take, what whiskey would you take? This was always my desert island gin. And as I say, they didn't pay me to say that. I took this job because I knew I could stand in front of bartenders anywhere in the world and say, look in the dictionary, there should be a bottle of Tanqueray in the picture under London Dry Gin. And it does everything a gin should do spectacularly. Tanqueray number 10, however, was a modern gin because gin became rather dull during the 20th century. Prohibition, the overuse of bad quality gin made people turn away from gin and into vodka, tequila, bourbon, Canadian whiskey and things like that. But with Bombay Sapphire, which was a brand that was meant to try and get vodka drinkers to drink gin, because it was lighter in flavour, it was far closer to a vodka than it was to a gin necessarily. So people, your grandmother never drank it, so you could drink it and be cool. And also it would get people into gin and hopefully get them to drink Bombay Dry Gin, which was the first of the Bombays. It didn't work like that. But what it did was it created a new sense of innovation as young people started drinking gin. It was aimed at vodka drinkers, but Tanqueray 10 was aimed at martini drinkers. Because of course, as you know, 2/3 of all the martinis in the world now are vodka-based. But more importantly, the whole idea about the martini has changed. So now anything that goes in a V-shaped glass is sort of such and such a martini. And also, just the idea of a dry martini had changed from being 2 parts of gin and 1 part of vermouth, to the idea that vermouth is somehow a toxic waste product that you like coat the ice with and throw it away as quickly as possible. You put hardly any of it in a drink. And that's a mistake. Because A, the drink is a lot stronger, which is why not many people drink gin martinis, because a big juniper-based gin with hardly any vermouth is quite a stiff drink. So we wanted to create a martini that would work, a gin that would work in the newer styles of martinis. So we gave the master distiller a masterclass in how to make a dry martini. One of the things they really noticed and were impressed by was the amount of flavour and aroma that came from using a good lemon twist on the top of it, or an orange twist, or a grapefruit twist, or a lime twist as we were doing it. And they were quite impressed by that. So they went back up to Scotland, which is where the distillery was, and they played about with the number 10 still, which is a small experimental still where the gin gets its name from. And they decided to use citrus, but not dried peels like most gins, and not even just fresh peels, but the whole fruit. Cut it up into different sizes and put it into the still. And we learned several things. We learned it is really, really difficult to distill with fresh fruit. Second thing, really impossible to distill with lemon. You put fresh lemon in the distillation, it will take the enamel off your teeth and the smile off your face. We then learned that orange is incredibly difficult as well. And we slowly figured out that in one batch of Tanqueray 10, there was actually only one orange. And when you taste Tanqueray 10 neat, you can taste that orange. And this is not one really big fucking orange. It's just so pungent and so flavoursome when distilled fresh. We also added grapefruit to it. So it has lime, grapefruit and orange, fresh. But then also, because the martini has this herbal quality because of the vermouth, which wasn't present in a straight normal gin, we added chamomile flowers. Chamomile flowers give it a lovely herbal quality, softness to it, and a bit of almost like a velvety smoothness in the mouth. So it's really velvety and silky when you were sipping it. We launched it in the year 2000. We put it into the San Francisco Spirits Challenge. That's like the big spirits competition around the world. And it won Best Gin. It beat Tanqueray, it beat Beefeater, it beat Gordon's, it beat Gilbey's, it beat another new gin launched that year called Hendrick's. It also then won Best White Spirit, beating Grey Goose, Chopin, Belvedere, Patron. For the drinks industry, this was amazing. It was like a gin competing and actually beating with like super premium vodkas. And then, because we won Best White Spirit, we were then competing against the dark spirits. We won Best Spirit in Show. 952 products were tasted that year. And the judges said this was the best in terms of complexity, flavour, skill of the distiller in terms of making it.